every time one of these detransitioners comes up, I'm like, what were you telling your doctors for years and years and years? It's just a case of incompetence on both the part of the surgeons and the patient. J.K. Rowling supposedly retweeted this thread the other day that then got taken down about bottom surgery regret. And we talk about bottom surgery here on stream pretty often, so I wanted to look at this and see what was actually said. Apparently the thread got nuked, so it's on here, an archive website, and I wanted to read about it and potentially discuss some of the pitfalls of bottom surgery and what you can do to avoid them and stuff like that, you know? I want to tell everyone what they took from us. Oh, by the way, this person, let me, hold on. This person's Twitter says detransitioned adult male. HRT is biohazard sign. JK is based. Detransition support is available at reddit.com/r/detrans. So good stuff. Anyway, he starts off saying, presumably he, no pronouns in bio though, because 10 feet apart because they're not gay or whatever. I don't fucking know. I want to tell everyone what they took from us, what irreversible really means, and what that reality looks like for us. No one told me any of what I'm going to tell you now. I have no sensation. Hold on, this is not very easy for you to see. Let's zoom in a little bit. Is that better? That's a little bit better. I have no sensation in my crotch region at all. You could stab me with a knife and I wouldn't know. The entire area is numb, like it's shell-shocked and unable to comprehend what happened even 4 years on. I tore a suture 4 days post-recovery. They promised to address it. I begged them in emails to fix it. They scorned me instead. Okay, well, that sounds like your post-surgical recovery wasn't handled very well. That was the doctor's fault. Years later, I have what looks like a chunk of missing flesh next to my neovagina. It literally looks like someone hacked at me. They still won't fix it. That also sounds bad. Is this person in the UK? Because if that's the case, then, like, this is just an indictment of the transphobia that's rampant throughout the medical community in the UK. No one told me that the base area of your penis is left. It can't be removed, meaning you're left with a literal stump inside that twitches. Some people have said that they don't experience this, but I've seen one person say that they do have some of the erectile tissue, just like, basically like in the same place that, like, I don't know if you all are aware, but the clitoris is also an internal structure. Like, the part that you see on the outside is only a small part of it. There's more of it that goes, like, basically, like, there's this part on the outside, and then, like, if I'm, like, looking at it from the front, then there's also a part on the inside that goes around the vaginal canal and, like, wraps around it. And so, like, when someone is aroused, they also have, like, sometimes their labia are puffy because it's underneath the labia around on the sides there. And there's a bunch of, like, similar internal stuff with penises. So, but, like, the thing that is experienced here, someone else was describing as, like, essentially the same as the erectile material that is inside a cis woman's vaginal area, just connected to the back end of her clitoris. So it's not like this is not possible. But this person is saying, when you take testosterone and your libido returns, you wake up with morning wood without the tree. I wish this was a joke. I mean, so yes, cis women can wake up with morning wood. Anyone with a vulva can also wake up with the equivalent of morning wood. It's just a tiny little micropenis erection, basically. And if you do take testosterone after being post-op, you run the risk of internal hair in the neovagina. Imagine dealing with internal hair growth after everything. That's not so much the case if you do proper hair removal. I'm really not sure why this person was not informed, really, that they needed to be very thorough with their hair removal early on. Like, there are some methods that remove the hair follicles for you in the surgical process, but a lot of the time you need to do pretty extensive hair removal. The same can be true for building a penis, because you sometimes are also using, like, you might use, like, arm hair to build a urethra, and you don't want there to be hair inside the new urethra, you know? It's generally not good. But I don't know why this person didn't take adequate care of their responsibilities for optimal surgical results. Got that one. So wow, yeah, what a choice, to be healthy on testosterone and a freak, or remain a sexless eunuch. People with estrogen in their bodies are not sexless. Eunuchs, you have a neo-vagina. What? Anyway, and that's something that will never come back, and one of the reasons why I got surgery. My sex drive died about 6 months on HRT, and at the time I was glad to be rid of it, but now 10 years later, I'm realizing what I'm missing out on and that I won't get back. Even if I had a sex drive, my neo-vagina is so narrow and small, I wouldn't even be able to have sex if I wanted to. This is also like, sometimes people can just tighten up to a point where it's still difficult for them to use a dilator. Like, I know someone who is getting a revision done and possibly even having a different method done entirely, because even using the dilator, it's still scarred up too much and has constricted in certain places. But yeah, this is again like partially patient responsibility to do appropriate aftercare with dilating. And when I use a small dilator, I have random pockets of sensation that only seem to pick up pain rather than pleasure. That is, yeah, it's a risk you run with like nerve hookups and stuff. Any pleasure I do get comes from the prostate that was moved forward and wrapped in glands from the penis, meaning anal sex isn't possible and can risk further damage. I have not heard that. I have not ever heard of the prostate being moved. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat, if you've ever heard of anything like that. Yeah, this is like cursory research stuff if you're trans. Your prostate isn't moved. I didn't think that your prostate even could be moved. The neovagina is placed behind it, so your prostate is like in the same forward location that your G-spot would be. I guess maybe it would depend on what method you got, because peritoneal pull-through might be in a different location as well. I don't know. This is a very complex thing that you need to research in depth before you make these choices, right? Then there's the dreams. I dream often that I have both sets of genitals. In the dream, I'm distressed I have both. Why both, I think? I tell myself to wake up because I know it's just a dream, and I awaken into a living nightmare. Why do you not have any sensation? That sounds like the surgical team really fucked you over, and like, that's why you have to be really careful about where you get your surgery done. Also, like, I am going to be specific about which surgical team I go with based on what they're good at, you know, and how many times I've seen your results. In these moments of amnesia, I would reach down to my crotch area expecting this something that was there for 3 decades, and it's not. My heart skips a beat every single time. That sounds bad. Yeah. Also, like, what psychological screening did this person go through? Like, how did you, like, if you're experiencing this massive regret over just, like, not having a penis, like, why did you think that you wanted to have it removed in the first place? Then there's the act of going to the toilet. It takes me 10 minutes to empty my bladder. It's extremely slow, painful. It dribbles no matter how much I relax it. No matter how much I wipe it, still leaks out. Now I get to the point where I'm detransitioned, and the realization that this is permanent is catching up with me. During transition, I was obsessive and deeply unwell. I cannot believe they were allowed to do this to me, even after all the red flags. Nobody gets bottom surgery easily. You have to be persistent for an extended period of time, usually. So, like, every time one of these detransitioners comes up, I'm like, what were you telling your doctors for years and years and years? Like, what were you thinking? Like, why? Like, it clearly, they were not thinking about it very much to me. If they get a surgery from someone that they didn't research what to do beforehand, they like weren't told that this surgical team will just fuck you over if you have a complication afterwards. Like, I have been researching this for like 4 years now, and I'm still like not totally sure who I would want to go with. Like, I'm pretty sure I would want to go with the Bunk Clinic because they have the best microsurgery results reportedly within the community. But I literally spent years talking to people and looking at different results and like hearing what people had to say about like what they need to do before, during, and after recovery and shit. This is literally just another, I didn't do the research and wasn't fully informed of the risks, or I was informed of the risks, took them anyway, and got unlucky. Yeah, sometimes shit just goes bad. It's fucking surgery. You know, you might have EDS and not know it and have a bad surgical recovery because like you have vascular problems and you end up bleeding and stuff in situations where you should be coagulating and healing, you know? Like, It's just a case of incompetence on both the part of the surgeons and the patient. And the argument that is being made here is we should make it illegal because some doc fucked it up once and I didn't take enough care. And then by that logic, no surgery should ever be done whatsoever. The number of people who regret this are very, very, very low. Even compared to like knee surgeries, the numbers are so different. I have zero empathy. Exactly. I feel bad that this person is in this terrible situation. I am so unsympathetic to people who use their difficulties through medical detransition to then advocate that nobody should be doing it on anyone ever. Like, there are bad surgical teams who do all kinds of different kinds of surgeries. You can have your care mishandled for something that's considered routine, even. We spent a long time researching every single detail obsessively of surgery complications, HRT complications, and still came to the conclusion we're trans, even with all the propaganda like this out there. Honestly, some people think like, oh, you can't be trans unless you want to get the full everything. But then like, also there's a bunch of fear mongering about the surgical results. So you're like, oh, well, the surgical results of my pussy are going to be inadequate. So that means that like, I'll never be a real woman. And so I can't transition any in the first place. You know, like, it's so shit. Yeah, and exactly. You should go after the doctor who fucked you over and not the trans community in general. I agree, Norman, that this is a political detransition. I honestly think that these people just get like their rent paid for like the next 5 years every time they come out in detransition. I don't know. I want to believe them about their surgical complications, like, because it is entirely possible to have just horrendously bad luck with your surgeon, especially if you're on the NHS. Like, it's crazy to me that like every single phalloplasty that was happening in the UK was happening through like the same doctor. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you only have access to one doctor who does dick surgery in your whole country. The fucked up thing is he's leaving out that as well that he could have reconstructive surgery. Could this guy just have a phalloplasty done? Like, could this guy just have like I mean, there's no doctors in the UK that do phalloplasty now. But could they not just have a dick built? If they feel like a sexless eunuch, it's not like the nerves are not still there. Sometimes there's too much scar tissue to fix things. So I don't want to just make the assumption. But at least they could have a penis installed, even if it doesn't feel like anything. That could potentially be mentally better than not having. If you reach down and expect to feel the parts and they're not there and it's so upsetting to you, you could just have a skin sock installed. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that, Baphomet. Like, he could have reconstructive surgery to, like, just fix the vagina. Like, that they could just do peritoneal pull-through. Ooh, we have a PubMed. Reversal surgery in regretful male-to-female transsexuals after sex reassignment surgery. Sex reassignment surgery has proved an effective intervention for patients with gender identity disorder. However, misdiagnosed patients sometimes regret their decision and request reversal surgery. This review is based on our experience with 7 patients who regretted their decision to undergo male-to-female SRS. Main outcome measures, results. Follow-up was 13 to 61 months. Good post-operative results were achieved in all patients. In 4 patients, all surgical steps were completed. 2 patients are currently waiting for penile implants. That is the dick hardening device where you get hard on your dick. And 1 patient decided against the penile prosthesis. Complications were related to urethral lengthening, as per fucking usual. 2 fistulas and 1 stricture were observed, as per fucking usual. All complications were repaired by minor revision. According to patient self-reports, all patients were pleased with the aesthetic appearance of their genitalia with their significant improved psychological status. Conclusion: reversal surgery in regretful male-to-female transsexuals after SRS represents a complex multi-stage procedure with satisfactory outcomes. It's the same procedure that trans men get. Further insight into the characteristics of persons who regret their decision post-operatively would facilitate better future selection of applicants eligible for SRS. So yeah, you can absolutely just have a dick put back after you get it removed. It's fine. You can do it. It's okay. If anything, like, you should be able to get all of your TERF friends to fund that for you. It should not be too hard. If they care about you so much and they care about you being sexually whole and fulfilled, they would want you to have reconstructive surgery. Good grief. Thank you so much to my patrons for making it possible for this to be my actual job in the world. Especially want to shout out Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Jovian F. Gaudreau, Bean, Heather Clarkson, Amanda B., Sarah A., R. Halverson, Wellington Marcus, Athiette, Michelle Winter, Suzanne Maynard, Frozen Summers, Nova, Mr. Atheist, and Elizabeth Bartell.